So basically, hey everyone, excited to kick off book club for today. So part two, chapter three, the golden circle. Um, People don't care what you do, they care why you do it. And we have to start from why people do what they do versus what, because no one cares about what you do, they care about why you do it. So very few people or companies clearly articulate why they do what we do. By why, I mean, what is your purpose, cause, or belief? Why does your company exist? Why do you get out of bed every morning? And why should anyone care? Um, a lot of companies who start with the what and the how they're not clear on the why. They have a fuzzy like way around the like why they do what they do. And so um they usually like in chapter two, it talked about manipulation and basically how like you could make money off manipulation. Like you have like one quick sales, like you can, lure people in or like, and manipulate people off of fear, off of inspiration, but to create a loyal following, to create a loyal customer base that'll choose you over anybody else, even if your product is more expensive and less effective, people will still choose you if they know why, if you articulate your why, because in the second chapter, in the fourth chapter, it talks about how people want to belong. And when people want to connect with companies and with other people who share the same values and beliefs. So when we are able to clearly articulate our values and beliefs and why we do what we do, the what really doesn't matter. And when we clearly articulate why we do what we do, our what can also change. And so we're not stuck to like one thing. So like for the example that I was talking about with Apple, Apple wasn't just stuck to only making computers because they started with their why. And one thing that I really liked, it talked about how it changed the name from Apple Computer to Apple Inc. And it said it didn't limit for Apple, however, having the word computer in their name didn't limit what they could do. It limited how they thought of themselves. The change wasn't practical, it was philosophical. And I really, really resonated with that because even like with creating my business, like Powerful Creator, like I've always go back to my message and my mission and I revisit it and like I've, just been doing the work to get clearer and clearer because there are certain ways that I've said my message or I've articulated my business that felt like it put me in a box. Like I couldn't do certain things. And so I would um and so this is like goes the same way. It's not about like what I could do, it's about how I thought of myself and how I thought about my business. And the clearer I got on my why, the more that I felt like really comfortable to do, like the more that made sense. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, over and over and over and over again. A company, that's all a company is. It's structure. They all have equal access to the same talent, the same resources, the same agencies, the same consultants. But Apple starts with why. Why then does Apple have such a disproportionate level of success? Because they articulate why. Because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Their products give life to their cause. So when we have our why, our products are just extensions of our cause. Our products are just extensions of our core purpose. So it really doesn't matter what the product is. The product could be anything if we are very clear on the why. This is the reason we perceive Apple as being authentic. Everything they do works to demonstrate their why. It challenges the status quo. And like I said in like the fourth chapter, people want to identify, they want to belong, they want to connect, they want to feel close to something. And it says like people will go out of their way to do that. And so when a company could clearly articulate their values and their beliefs, like I said earlier, people really want to identify with that. Like if you like basically it talks about how when people explain why they buy Apple, they'll like rationalize it because it talks about the brain and all the things and how like that part of the brain doesn't have language, and they'll rationalize like why, and they'll rationalize it with maybe the features and this and that, but really the reason why they are sold on it is because they identify with it, they identify with challenging the status quo. And they're not going to say that because um because that's not the way our brains work. Like our brain wants to rationalize why we do what we do, but it's like this feeling that can't really be articulated. Like it's like this gut feeling that you just know, like, I'm gonna go with them. And that's just what it says over and over and over again. I'm not gonna go over the fifth chapter because I didn't finish it. But these two chapters I got in depth. And I really like the last paragraph. It says, products with a clear sense of why give people a way to tell the outside world who they are and what they believe. Remember, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. If a company does not have a clear sense of why, then it is impossible for the outside world to perceive anything more than what the company does. And when that happens, manipulations that rely on price, pushing price, feature, service, or quality become the primary currency of differentiation. And then it talks about how like this is just something like to our core, like it's in our biology. And honestly, I have a lot of personal experience with this. I mean, like we all do, you know, we all have like people and products that we've like bought into that no matter what they do, no matter where they go, like we're gonna follow them because they know why. Like I know with my like when one of my mentors, she doesn't have like a structured mentoring like program right now. Like for the past 4 years, she hasn't actually, but I know her why. Like I know her intention. I know it. And so honestly, it doesn't matter what she does, like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be a part of it, even if it's unstructured, even if it's all over the place, because I know the core, I know the why, and I feel comfortable with it. Like I feel good with it. Like I can see, you know, a coaching program that has all the structures, all the things, all honestly, I was started thinking about I am. Like, to be honest, like that was my big thing with I am. I didn't care how flashy everything looked and how all the numbers and everything. Like I didn't care about that. It's really about like why, like what's the core, and the core is to help everybody. The why is to help other people, to educate them and to help them, equip them with digital skill sets. You know, it's not because like I don't care like if I am is one of the number one digital platforms in the world, like whatever. There are so many different platforms, there are so many different ways to learn digital products, but like why should we stick with this company? Why should I promote this company? And it's because their values and their beliefs is something that I identify with, and that's why we're with them. So that's all I gotta say on that. And Austin can kick it off next, or Marcus, because he's on the way if he wants to.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that real quick. I'm sorry, Austin. I apologize, big dog. High key, I was on a rush out of the door, so I forgot my book. And high key, it's probably for the better because I would have been trying to flip through the book while I'm driving, and that's not smart. So, I the main point I really wanted to touch on from my reading is, I think Amber read it towards, I think it was chapter 4 or 5, but where like people don't buy what it is that you do, they buy like why it is you do it. And I think as I've been going through this week, and everything that I've got going on, y'all, so funny. I don't know who said it. I think my boy Nito, I was on the FaceTime with him. He was like, yo, life has been like roundhouse kicking my boy Marcus. And like for those that know what's good, they know what's good. I know Mikhail, especially, like I was on the phone with him when I found out some crazy news a couple days ago. Um, and I just had to really like dive even deeper and further in what it is that on why I got started and why it is I'm doing everything that I've got going on. I feel as though that um, sometimes we all get caught up in the how tos or the people. Sometimes we get caught up in the circumstances and the situations, and especially as we are working towards a greater cause, something that's bigger than ourselves. And I think reading these 3 chapters reminded me of remembering what's most important, and then not being afraid to communicate that in a way that boosts other individuals. And I think the greatest thing that people can relate to is that there's always a reason why we all do the things we do, or why we sacrifice certain things. Um, like Amber was talking about, why we identify with certain values. And I don't know, this book is something serious because I think now more than ever, I needed to be reminded of. I mean, I remind myself of my why all the time, but like diving in thoroughly on what my why has always been and how my life has changed because I've been able to communicate that in an effective manner to other people, and working on actually developing and knowing um, the reasons behind either pivoting, taking different courses of action, um, or implementing new ways of thinking. And I feel like, I don't know, like this, I think the biggest takeaway I got was the fact that we sincerely, we always hear, especially with the personal development mentors that we have, about the importance of your why, but like diving even deeper into what our guy was talking about in these past few chapters, well, the past two parts, excuse me, not just the chapters we read, it's so much more deeper than what we think sometimes. And I be catching myself being caught up on the surface level, especially when I'm in a struggle. So one, I'm grateful to be actually remaining intentional with people that are intentional and actually doing it. Like, I apologize for not being fully prepared and actually moving and grooving, but I'm super excited, y'all. I'm gonna go and actually um, do a wedding renewal for a couple who is celebrating their decade together as a uh, as one unit and one soul. And honestly, like when I look at my why and the things that I do and um, the people that I'm doing them with, like my soul is like completely fulfilled. And it's really surreal sometimes to think about how intentional your life can be and how you can actually create it when you know not the what or the how, but like the why behind it all. So I'm sorry, I had a good amount of stuff um, highlighted up to touch on, and I will throw that in the book club discussion once I get home after my shift later tonight. But I've been high key just reviewing and preparing for the ceremony I'm gonna officiate. So I'm gonna pass this thing on. But I appreciate you guys being y'all and actually diving in and staying committed with everything we got going on. Um, and I love y'all. I'll pass it. My bad, Austin. I stole your mic, bro. So it's yours.
You're good, bro. I appreciate you. Um, yeah, obviously, like both of you have said so far, um, people don't buy what you do. They really buy why you do it. And I never really um thought about it in that sense until like reading this and then just through our community and what we do, not only as individuals but as an organization, what we're really looking to accomplish. And um, 'cause I think for a while, for a long time, I was trying to sell what we did more so than why exactly it is that we do what we do. And I think obviously that is more important than exactly what it is that we do. So really, and for a long time, I wasn't really like clear on exactly why I was doing what I was doing. So made it difficult on that aspect of things to really be like productive and very, I guess, authentic about like what exactly it is that I was looking to accomplish and what I would like, why I was doing what I'm doing. So, um, there's something I'll touch on in chapter 1. Let me see where it's at here. Sorry, spot here. I was just gonna say, so like obviously they used, or he used, Apple as like a big talking point, just to kind of um illustrate the point of like why your why is so important. So um and he talked about, so I'm trying to find the spot it was at. um it highlighted but it disappeared. So um my fault, y'all. Did it go? um it was just there. Anyway, so they said, oh, it was, he said, with also like with your why, obviously like your, like if your what doesn't necessarily work, you know what I mean, like what you're selling doesn't work, you'll never, I mean, doesn't matter like, I guess, how strong your why is, like it's obviously what you're doing also has to align with why you're doing it. So I guess that was my one of my takeaways there. Because obviously if you know why you're doing it, maybe, you know, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. The why you're doing it may be, you know, may be good, I guess is the word I'll use, just because I can't think of what I'm trying to say. But your why may be good, but like if what you're doing also doesn't align with that, then obviously people aren't going to, you know, whether you're in sales or whatever it is that you're doing, people aren't going to want to be involved or like, you know, join you or whatever the case may be. Like people aren't going to want to be a part of it essentially. So um uh and then um oh, so he said not the other part I was going to touch on in chapter, or not chapter 1, sorry, the chapter 3 is he said knowing your why is not the only way to be successful, but is the only way to maintain a lasting success and have a greater blend of innovation and flexibility. um he says when a why goes fuzzy, it becomes much more difficult to maintain the growth, loyalty, and inspiration that helped drive the original success. So um you know, when you, and obviously like I said, I've definitely struggled with it at times, but like really keeping the why in the forefront of your mind and understanding exactly why you're doing um what you're doing. And if you can't, like it said somewhere, I don't know if it was in this chapter or the next one, but it said somewhere where he just kind of made the point of, if you're in a leadership position, or if you are, you know, doing whatever it is that you're doing, if you can't fully explain like clearly and concisely what it is and why it is that you're doing what you're doing, then nobody's going to want to join you, nobody's going to want to follow you, nobody's going to want to buy whatever it is that you're selling, whatever the case may be. So really being able to, not being able to, but really believing in what you are doing is like the biggest thing behind like why. Because if you don't believe in what you're doing and why you're doing it, then obviously it's very unauthentic. I actually believe that was in chapter 5. But um chapter 4. The one thing I'll touch on in this chapter is that, so he gave the example in the beginning of the chapter of the Dr. Seuss book. And he's saying how some of these, what do you call them? Sneeches. Sneeches, like some of them had stars on their belly and some didn't. And then how the ones without stars wanted to get stars. And just to kind of shorten the story a little bit, the fact, or I guess the point of the whole thing was that a lot of people, um, you know, a lot of people just want to belong to something, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of our nature as humans. You know, we just want to feel comfortable and you know, feel like we fit in um with whatever. So let me see here. Words. Our need, it says our need to belong is not rational, but is a constant that exists across all people and all cultures. It is a feeling we get when those around us share our values and beliefs. And when we feel like we belong, we feel connected and feel safe. So as humans, we crave the feeling and we seek it out. Um, and so like that's, I guess the point of bringing it up was that a lot of people, you know, whether, I guess just to go back to Apple, for instance, a lot of people, you know, see Apple everywhere, you know what I mean? And so like if their friends have, you know, Apple products, things like that or whatever, and they, you know, believe in what they Apple is doing, or like, I don't know, they believe in the quality of the product, whatever the case may be, people are just going to want to naturally gravitate towards that. So, and Apple, as far as like their why has always been pretty um authentic and upfront about exactly what it is that they have looked to accomplish through their brand and their products and their services. So a lot of that's why a lot of people gravitate towards them, because like not only does Apple like keep the why at the forefront, but the quality of what it is that they do, and the products that they produce is also in alignment, like I said earlier, with their why. So people naturally gravitate towards that because um you know they want to, you know, whether they, if they believe in what Apple is selling and what the Apple is doing, and why they're doing it, then you know people are going to really want to you know be involved in it, and that's why Apple is as big as it is. um does that make sense? Then the last thing that I was going to touch on is, what is it here? Sorry, just looking. Um, so, oh, he touched on chapter. So, yeah, chapter 5 said clarity, discipline, and consistency. So, you need to have the clarity of your why, like I said earlier. You know, you need to be super clear on exactly it is, or why it is you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, so that you can explain it to other people very clearly, very concisely, so that they know, but also so that it is your, essentially your driving force as to you know being productive and getting the results that you seek. And so that people, whether it is, or whether you're focusing on, you know, trying to impact other people and help them, or you know maybe you're just looking to sell something, you know, it'll help you, it'll help drive that progress. So and then said the second point he made was the discipline of how. Um, and then, sorry, just to kind of bundle it all up here, he said the discipline of how and then the consistency of what. And like I said, they all have to be in alignment with each other. Otherwise, the the long-term success probably won't happen, in no matter what area of life that you choose to apply these principles to. So short-term success, it might happen. And then back to the other thing I was going to touch on, sorry, just kind of had a squirrel moment there for a second, but it's because I remember what Amber was talking about in the beginning with manipulation, and how a lot of a lot of like people try to use manipulation as like a tactic to persuade other people to either, you know, buy their products, join them in, you know, this venture or like company, or, you know, whatever it is that they're doing. But that is, that hurts them more so than it helps them, because if you are not, like I said earlier, authentically like being yourself and like keeping your business like authentic. I'm like trying to clearly clearly say what I'm trying to say. But yeah, just like, I don't know, I think a lot, especially in the industry that we're in, there's a lot of people who that come to mind, that they tend to try to play on people's heartstrings and things like that, or like really just their reason for, you know, trying to help people, or the reason for doing whatever it is that they're doing stems from more of a selfish type vibe. And so the why behind it isn't necessarily something that aligns with a lot of people. So, you know, that's why some of the leaders that came to mind, um, they don't have necessarily longer term success, because once people start to, because I don't know, especially, you know, diving more into my faith, you know, what comes or what is done in the dark will come to light. So, you know, whether your intentions and your why is necessarily pure will definitely come out eventually. You know what I mean? That's why doing everything, especially in this business, from an authentic intention, will definitely help the longevity of like your business and your relationships with people. Because I've definitely, like I said, I've definitely been in business and talked to a lot of people who, you know, they say a lot of good things, but like necessarily the actions and the what and how they do things doesn't align with why they told me they're doing it. So um yeah, I just think that the most important point, I guess, that I will say to wrap this up, because I know I kind of just rambled a little bit, but just really knowing exactly who you are first and foremost, and then why it is that you chose to do whatever it is that you're doing, and aligning your work ethic and your how and what you're doing with that why. So anyway, sorry, I know I just kind of rambled off there, but Kels, I know Mikhail's a little busy, but you want to go, girl? Go ahead.
Yeah, I got you. All right. So, chapter 3, the Golden Circle. When I was listening to this one, it kind of made me self-reflect. Really, I wrote down first off the diagram that they were talking about with the bullseye of the why in the middle, then the how, and then the what. And then really what made me sit and reflect was, I mean, Austin just kind of touched on it. When you go from the outside to the inside, so the what, then to the why, you really kind of, like you just said, give yourself, you might have success with it, but it's going to be more on the short term end. Whereas if you're starting with your why, I mean, Marcus, I don't know if you do this intentionally, but all 3 of these chapters just kind of fit very perfectly together. Because if you're not clear, or first you have to be clear on your why, and when you go from the inside to the outside, kind of like what they were talking about with Apple, not necessarily when they wanted to change their name and take, you know, the computers part out of it, really allowing themselves to not see themselves just as, we just do computers. We know our why, but we're just doing it with computers. Being able to expand and kind of give yourself, I don't remember who said it, Austin, possibly, where you give yourself more flexibility to adapt with the changing world and stay at the forefront of, changes that are being made, but still at the end of it, staying true to your why. And then chapter 4, I think everybody's kind of said it. People will join you based on why you're doing things. People want to feel included. I know they use the an example of like laundry detergent and stuff. People don't necessarily care what the end outcome is. They don't necessarily care that their shirt is whiter than it was when you first bought it. They care about how they feel when they're wearing, after using the product. And when I was listening to that one, it really made me think of, why I chose to. I mean, everybody on this call knows, Austin and I both, and I'm sure everybody else as well, have been asked to like join other places and join other companies with other people. But, for me, wanting to stay within TGF, within IM, it's just because like that's where I feel like I'm part of something, genuinely part of a family, and that's what people want. And so when I first got started in this, I had a why, but it was a very selfish why, I guess. I wanted to come in here and do this so I didn't have to work a job and I could. But then as, I progressed in it, having a why for the greater picture. How can I help people? Like, why do I want to use this platform to help other people? And with that, like I like having the why of wanting to help other people who are willing and starting obviously in that inside of the bullseye, and then using TGF IM, our own personal brand, as that vehicle to do so, is really what I want to do. And then chapter 5, Austin really touched on it. You want clarity on why you're doing what you do. Obviously, if you don't have that, the rest of it is kind of not pointless, but that's where you kind of get, I don't know if y'all have had it, but you reach out to somebody and they're like, oh, what are you trying to sell me? And I've had to look back on what like I sent to them, or like my voice message or something, and I'm like, oh shoot, like tying back into chapter 3, like I started with the what, like I started on the outside instead of on the inside, with keeping the why, first and foremost. So why do you do it? And then the discipline is not veering from your cause, and the consistency is to prove what you believe. And then what I wrote down, just a quick little jot, was the why is your belief. So you believe why you want to do something, why you are committed to a company or a product or a community. The how is the action of what you're doing to fulfill that belief, and then the what is the results that you get from both of the prior. Sorry, I'm driving home. I don't know if y'all could hear that. I was just on a gravel road for so long. I hope y'all couldn't hear that. But yeah, those 3 chapters, I really took time and like kind of self-reflected on, am I doing all of those things? And honestly, in some parts it was a no. And so it's a good reminder of things to continue to work on. But Mikhail, I don't know if you're able to share, bro, or
See, can you guys hear me? Okay. I know it's really loud in here, but if y'all can hear me, then I'm cool. What's up, guys? Well, first off, Austin discussion. Second off, shout out Marcus. He's gonna go and remind some people of their ride today. So that's lit. Shout out y'all for being here, the 4 of us, 5 of us that there were. Literally, I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. The runners run. But um one thing I really got from this part of the reading was like it just reminded me of like one, how we both started really all the brands that were present today, Powerful Creator, TGF, EMM. We literally sat down and we asked who, what, how, and why. You know what I'm saying? And we literally wrote it down in a note. So it was fire, honestly, to go back and look at that and be like, we were definitely on the right move. I've read this book a few times, but it's been a minute since I've actually read this thing. So it was definitely dope. Here you go, player. Thank you. I'm not good. And so yeah, bro, it was definitely fire. Back gonna lie to you. Like when it comes to who we are, y'all know who we are, TGF, DMM, Powerful Creator, all of us. What do? We literally, well, our vision is to create and connect a global network of entrepreneurs. How are we doing that? With partnering with the #1 e-learning platform on the planet, IM Mastery Academy, that teaches digital skill sets. Why are we doing it? Because we're all some people that literally had a life that we did not want, and we knew that we were wanting more. We wanted more abundance. We wanted more life. We wanted more income. We wanted more fulfillment. Period. We wanted to build a wealthy community. And in doing that, we were able to utilize that platform and able to help us get the skill sets to build that community. So we're going to further on that vision. Like ultimately, that's all it is. So honestly, it was dope to just put that together. As old boy Bit Factor was on the call the other day, the Big Shot call, he was amazing at telling his story, and that was one of the things that really caught my eye about him. So I was like, yo, I really want to get better at that. So it was dope to also go into the reading of this week, and it's like walking through exactly how to do that in a verbal way, and then from there, you can put the illustrations on it easily. The last part though was definitely fire when it talked about the 3 degrees of a decision, and or the 3 degrees of certainty, excuse me. And I definitely love that because what it comes down to is if you can articulate the reason why you get your gut feeling. So if you can articulate, obviously what, everybody knows what, but if you can articulate how, why, like it becomes a clear picture, and then you know exactly what you like will do and what you won't do. And like we were talking Kelsey the other day about people and business and being unrecruitable. And it's something that flows into that. Like when you know why you're doing it and you know what you're doing and you know how you're doing it, it's easy to be unrecruitable. Period. Even when it comes to marriage.
Guys, not take off.
Oh, we love you too, though. Even when it comes to marriage, if you obviously you're gonna know who your wife or your husband is, but if you know what you guys are doing and the clear vision of where you guys are headed, you know why you're going there, and you know how it's being all held together by God, you will never ever break each other's hearts. You keep each other first and you'll stay committed. Period. Same thing with your business. If you know what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, you will go the distance. Nothing in you will let you do anything of the opposite. So shout out to everybody who's on this call, who I can tell knows what they're doing. They know why they're doing it, and they know how they're doing it too. And I'm excited for this next reading. It's definitely different, but he's not asleep. But it's really loud in here. We're about to get these kids up out of this restaurant. No, he's not sleepy. So I love you guys, and you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the book club, OG, triple OGs. Shout out to the runners. You know what I'm saying? We're getting cracking. I love y'all. I'm gonna call both of you today. Are you guys like busy? You guys got plans?
I have a call at 2:00.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me. I bet. Cool. Well, then let me know when y'all want to add me in on a call. Bet. I love y'all. I'll talk to you guys soon.
You too, bro.